This is your election headquarters, and this is Joy News Prime. Coming up tonight, Electoral Commission completes review of judgment of a High Court in which the Commission was directed to allow Dr. Indum make corrections on his nomination forms. Meanwhile, an Accra High Court dismisses suit filed by independent presidential candidate against the Electoral Commission on deletion of unverified names in the register. Presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, questions why government is not coming clear on money accrued in fund holding 5% Tier 2 contributions of public sector workers.
And ahead in business, importers of petroleum products rule out any sharp price hikes at the pumps should new sulfur level regulations for imported fuel are implemented by the NPA from next year.
Nurses at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital begin sit-down strike following danger they face from patients due to lack of medical supplies to the facility. But the Health Ministry says it is working on the situation. Details of all these stories, plus sports, entertainment and interactive segment coming up in this 2-hour package. The news is also on DSTV, GoTV and across Europe on ABN Television. Thanks for staying with us. Now, it appears the jubilation at the court by the flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, over his disqualification by the Electoral Commission may be short-lived. This is because the Electoral Commission has served notice it will appeal the ruling by an Accra High Court, which ordered the Commission to allow Dr. Indum correct anomalies on his nomination forms. Dr. Indum was disqualified from the presidential race along with 11 other presidential aspirants on October 10 by the EC for administrative errors on his forms. The Commission explained that it had disqualified Dr. Indum for, among others, allowing a subscriber to append his signature for 2 separate areas, which the EC considered as a breach of the electoral laws. But last week, an Accra High Court upheld the PPP flag bearer's case and ordered the Commission to assist the PPP leader correct the errors on his forms. Well, earlier today, Joy News spoke to policy advisor of the PPP, Kofi Asamoah-Siang, who indicated the party had begun judicial processes to enforce the court ruling. Listen.
Not yet. First of all, this issue came up at an IPAC meeting last Friday. Mrs. Opoku-Amankwa, who chaired the IPAC meeting, when the question was put to her, said that the procedure is that even though they were in court and they had the orders and their lawyer got a copy of the judgment, it was incumbent on the, if you like, judgment victor, in our case, Dr. Indum, and the PPP to serve them copies of the judgment, and from there we can be able to enforce any rights that accrue to us when we want to court.
So do you know when the serving will be done?
That by close of day today, they will serve the Electoral Commission with a copy of the judgment, and then the Electoral Commission will have to now invite us and give us the time for that one anomaly to be corrected and Dr. Indum's form accepted.
Well, just under an hour ago, the Commission released a statement signaling their intention to appeal the ruling by the court. My colleague Favor Nono has a copy of that statement and he joins me with details. Favor, so what reasons did the Commission offer, if any, on their intention to appeal the ruling?
Well, so they cite 3 key reasons for which they're asking for a review of the High Court's decision at the Supreme Court. And so we'll start with the first one that says to take full responsibility. That's what they say. It says the Commission is of the firm conviction, backed by the law, that a candidate seeking the highest office of the land must take full responsibility for ensuring that their nomination forms meet the standard in form and substance as required by law. So they go on the first tangent being that the electorate, or sorry, the candidate who is filing must take full responsibility. The second one, it says on a matter of criminality. So the Commission is further of the view that falsified signatures on nomination forms constitute a matter of criminal investigation and not mere anomalies or clerical errors, which should be pointed out to the candidate for correction to be effected. So, for the Commission, the errors are not just a case of mere mistakes or transpositional errors or whatsoever clerical errors it may be referred to. It actually constitutes what we call criminal, and therefore this requires further investigation. Now, let's look at the third one that they actually refer to. They say it's the accuracy of information of documents. So it says the Commission believes that, as in other jurisdictions, presidential candidates must ensure the accuracy of the information on documents which they present under oath to public institutions. Failure to place this burden on the shoulders of the candidate has serious implications for our democracy and our electoral justice. So these are the three key cases on which the EC seeks to build their argument for a review of the High Court's decision at the Supreme Court. So it says, in the interest of public policy and credibility of the electoral process, the Commission has today filed an application at the Supreme Court to quash the High Court's decision and seek clarity on the relevant aspects of the law on candidate nominations. It says, we believe it is the overall national interest, and on the grounds of public policy that the Supreme Court provides clarity on this matter. A judgment from the Apex Court would effectively bring finality to the issue once and for all. And they're hoping that the Supreme Court actually expedites this process and brings a finality to this. So that's what we have on hand now.
All right. Thank you very much, Favour Nono, with those details. And we have tried to reach the Electoral Commission for a reaction on this. We have been unable to reach them, but we will be trying, and as and when we get them, we will bring you their reaction. We've also been trying to reach the PPP as well for a reaction on this latest development, but we haven't reached them. So as long as we get them, we'll bring you those details. So how is this latest development going to affect the electoral fortunes of Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum? Views on the matter are varied. Private legal practitioner Poku Edusei believes the EC chairperson's conduct is reprehensible, whilst his colleague, lawyer Yao Pong, agrees with the EC and urged them actually to go as far as the Supreme Court over the matter. Take a listen.
You think that when you want to pursue a matter to a logical conclusion, you can adopt every strategy you may want. But I am worried that the Electoral Commission is pursuing this line, because by the time the matter is even resolved in the case of Indum in the Supreme Court, you would have lost at least about 10 days. So that is where my concern is. And with barely 37 days to the elections, if we lose just a week and it's less than a month to the elections, we will be working against time. The other aspect also is that it depends on the nature of the case that has been filed in the Supreme Court. If the case is only to quash the decision of the High Court in respect of Indum, then it may not resolve all the issues. But if it's crafted in such a way that it will border on interpretation of the CI vis-a-vis the Constitution, then maybe we may be heading elsewhere and be empowering the Commission to take such decisions. My view is that
yes, sir.
You in disqualifying persons based on the actions and inactions of an institution, it means that Ghanaians will also be disabled from taking decisions about whether someone is fit to lead the country or not.
All right, let me come to Mr. Opong. So, Mr. Opong, I know you had a different position. The EC is taking a step in the right direction in your view?
Yes, good evening. It is indeed. And I think that without sounding repetitive, I still disagree with my good friend. And the fact that time may not be on the side of someone, or time may be of essence. A person who strongly believes that there is a dispute in law should just shelve it just because there is no time to do something. In any case, I have held the view that, and I will not rely on what has been filed, which I'm yet to see, but I'm saying that when it comes to the part or the portion of the decision which states, and if I may just quickly refer to it, that, quote, the court order or the court orders, quote, that the respondents afford opportunity to the applicant to make the necessary alteration or amendment to its nomination paper for it to receive same. I think I have a problem with that, because the court clearly stated, and I will say that this is a judgment that I really have described as awesome, very good for us, but these were the grounds: breach of the rules of natural justice, and 2, error apparent on the face of the record. The court clearly held, and I fully share, that there was no error apparent on the face of the record. So what was left was about the rules of natural justice and whether they have been breached. And they were set out clearly in the case of Lord Diplo. But, I mean, the court stated that. So I was of the view that once the court held that the, if you like, the steps that the EC adopted in arriving at the decision were wrong in law, the court should have ended there, because there was no issue of whether or not the EC was to afford them an opportunity to, as it were, amend or alter any error. There was no issue.
Let's stay on the Electoral Commission, because the Commission says its members and staff draw strength from service to the nation to absorb all forms of attacks on them by some individuals and groups. Deputy Chairperson for Corporate Services, Georgina Opoku-Amankwah, says attempts to vilify and discredit even the chairperson of the Commission and their work can sometimes be demoralizing. She says such tendencies could discourage many competent people from sacrificing and lending their expertise for national progress. Ms. Opoku-Amankwah spoke exclusively to Insura FM's Ohiming Teria in Kumasi. We apologize for the poor quality of that audio, but moving on, APC flag bearer Hassan Ayariga says he is confident the High Court will rule in his favor to ensure he gets back onto the 2016 presidential race. Ms. Ayariga is in court to challenge the EC's decision to reject his nomination form. The court, presided over by Barbara Tete Chawe, fixed Tuesday, November 1, to announce a date for ruling. Speaking to the press after proceedings, the APC flag bearer said he remains confident of a ruling in his favor.
This morning, you realize that the lawyer from the EC side said that they actually couldn't file on Friday, and for that matter, they were pleading with the judge, and that they had just finished filing a minute ago. And for that matter, the judge should look into the matter and give them another date for them to come for the argument. Or a second option is that she should actually look into the both matters, read into both arguments, and based on it, they both agree that she can give a ruling based on the evidence and the attachment they have put so far with regards to their cases. So the judge actually listened to both sides and adjourned the case till tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, for her to have enough time to read through their arguments and then probably or possibly give judgment tomorrow or set another day. I think we have even a better case than the PPP. In our case, we have properly filled the documents. All subscribers have actually subscribed to our documents. But according to EC, 2 out of our subscribers actually subscribe to another candidate. In Ghana, we don't have data system whereby one can check who has subscribed for you or subscribed for another candidate. We actually don't also have to go to the other candidates asking or requesting for their documents to know whether my people, or to compare and contrast to see whether some of my members have subscribed to another. So our case is, I think that is much, much better than that of the PPP. I think that the court will give us justice. As a political party, all we are seeking for is the opportunity to run an elections, that is to be part of an elections, and have a presidential candidate in the 2016 general elections. We are not asking for more. That's what we're asking for.
Let's stay at the courts a while longer because an Accra High Court presided over by Gifty J. Ado has dismissed a suit filed by independent presidential candidate Jacob Asseya-Boah against the Electoral Commission. The presidential candidate earlier this year went to court hoping to compel the EC to amend the electoral regulations to allow the Commission delete names of persons who fail to verify their names each time the Commission outdoors the register. While speaking to the press after the ruling, Jacob Asseya-Boah said he respects the decision of the court.
I would like to respect the decision of the court, and as all of you are aware, it's tomorrow that we're going to have the actual verdict that we can read with regards to the reason. I think the court is being cautious, and I do agree with the court as well, looking at the sensitivities around. But I'm pretty sure that posterity will actually give the true verdict. And I strongly believe that at the end of the day, it's for the best or for the good of all of us as Ghanaians for us to move forward. No, it was just simple. You know that we have the political parties law at 574, whereby the political parties are being asked to have at least 2/3 of offices. And we know that most of them do not have. And again, the biometric voter register, there's no way that we deal with the dead as to how to delete the dead. And I use my expertise in it to advise EC that there's a way to go about it in order to clean it. And I think during the exhibition, the EC did that. Most of the issues that we raised, honestly, the EC started working at it. And so if at this point in time, in the wisdom of the courts, they want to dismiss the case, I think it's for the good of the whole country.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a short break, but still ahead, presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, questions why government is not coming clear on amount of money accrued in fund holding 5% Tier 2 contributions of public sector workers. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Now, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, is asking government to come clear on the amount of money accrued in the fund which holds the 5% Tier 2 contributions of public sector workers. This comes less than a week. 12 labor unions raised concerns about government's failure to pay the monthly deductions of the Tier 2 contributions into their scheme account. Nana Akufo-Addo asked government to come clear on the matter when he met organized labor at the headquarters of the Trades Union Congress here in Accra.
The meeting with members of the Trade Union Congress started with some questions tabled before the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. The TUC told Nana Akufo-Addo the economy needs to be revamped to safeguard the lives of workers and Ghanaians as a whole.
Inflation remains very high. Exchange rate is abnormally high, probably the highest in the world. And that also doesn't help our employers who want to borrow money from the banks. If you have a situation where only the banks are making profit in your country, it's not normal. We live in a very abnormal economy, and we are hoping that things will change for us because we suffer all this as workers of Ghana.
Akufo-Addo, in response to questions, also questioned why government is refusing to make open amount accrued from the 5% Tier 2 contributions.
The two-tier pension scheme and the money The government says they can't find the money. No, but really, it's a very serious situation. What does it mean? Has it been lost? Has it been stolen? We don't know. Then clearly there's an obligation on the part of government to find that money. This money that is due has to be found. And we have to make an unequivocal commitment that we will do whatever it is takes to find that money, to plug the hole, so that when the time comes, those who are entitled to the money get their money. That can be the only fair and equitable arrangement that there is.
He also described as insensitive and disincentive to businesses the current tax regime. Nana Akufo-Addo told workers of his plans to review the Millennium Compact Agreement.
Our first duty, God willing, in January, will be to sit around again with all the stakeholders and look at the various options you yourselves have put on the table. Because as I understand it, at the moment, that's your present beef, is that the options you put on the table were not even considered by government before certain decisions were made. That cannot be a correct way of going about the business of governance, especially when it involves such an important institution as the Trades Union Congress. We need to engage again. And if it is necessary, then as the result of that engagement can speak to the American partners. The money is a lot. Nobody wants that money to go away. To engage with the American partners, to see to what extent modifications or amendments can be made. I think it's something that is well within our rights as a government to be able to do.
The New Patriotic Party presented copies of the party's manifesto to the Trade Union Congress. Matilda Vamagan for Joy News.
Otherwise, there will be stampede. Now, the General Secretary of the governing NDC said President Mahama is not leaving office for the MPP's Nana Akufo-Addo. Correspondent Kofi Sian reports the president has commissioned some projects, including markets, as he continues his tour or campaign of the Eastern region. Kofi Sian joins us on the line. Hello, good evening to you, Kofi.
Good evening, Araba.
So we understand that the president has been commissioning markets, and he's been talking about, rebuilding certain markets. What else can you tell us?
Well, Araba, the market, according to the regional minister, was started sometime during President Rawlings' time, but it was abandoned when the NDC lost power to the NDP. So when the NDC came back to power with Mills in charge, they started, they continue with the building of the market. So they've been able to complete that ultra-modern market. And now President Mahama came to New Ebrim to commission that market. According to the president, the NDC government is also taking into consideration to re-engineer or redesign all major markets in the country so that it can avoid the outbreak of fires, which is recently, having an impact on this country. So the president opened the market, and he said that from tomorrow they can start using the market. Now, the NDC General Secretary, who was also part of the campaign, he also spoke at a mini rally there, and there he said that he is saying that the NDC is committed to developing the country. But according to him, President Mahama is not going to leave office for any person to rule the country. So if anybody thinks that President Mahama is going to lose this election, then the person should think twice. That is what General Seydou Nketia, who is the General Secretary of the NDC, said.
All right. Kofi, many thanks. And Kofi Sian is our Eastern Regional correspondent, bringing us that update of the president's campaign in the Eastern region. And it took him to Ebrim today. He's expected to continue that tour tomorrow. Well, still in the Eastern region, National Campaign Manager of the New Patriotic Party, Peter McMahon, has urged members of the NPP to take pictures of the election results or pink sheets at the polling station and collation centers and circulate these pictures on social media. Mr. McMahon said under the new law governing elections in Ghana, the presiding officers should paste copies of pink sheets at the polling station and collation centers for clarity and transparency. He asked party members to take advantage of the new provision and use their cell phones to take pictures of the pink sheets or election results and circulate them on social media. He was speaking in Koforidua.
Speaking to supporters at Koforidua during the Eastern Regional launch of the NPP's Adopt a Polling Station campaign, the campaign manager advised members of the NPP to monitor keenly what happens at the polling station and ensure that the system is free and fair. Mr. McMahon advised President John Mahama to accept defeat and called to congratulate Nana Akufo-Addo on December 7. He said the NDC must learn lessons from Ivory Coast, where Laurent Gbagbo refused to hand over power after his defeat.
Laurent Gbagbo is in prison now. Even his wife is in prison too. So the NDC should take a cue from it. John Mahama should accept defeat on December 7 and be able to congratulate him also. After casting your votes for Nana, wait and make sure they are counted and results even posted before going home, so you can be able to take pictures and videos of Nana's victory.
We're taking a break. We'll be back with business news. Hello and welcome back. It's time for business, and Emmanuel Biafi Aboaje joins me in the studio. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hi, Araba. How are you?
I'm very good. Okay. So, I mean, we're down to the end of the month now.
Sure. The last
barely 30 days or a little over 30 days to the December elections. It's coming really fast, isn't it?
Very, very fast. And I can't wait to exercise my franchise.
I'm sure you can. But what's happening in business?
Well, in business, the downstream petroleum regulator is now talking about reducing sulfur levels, passing out a regulation to actually control sulfur levels. Remember about 2 weeks ago.
So that's good news for motorists.
Controversy, exactly. Yes. Which is making sulfur levels too high for our petrol.
All right. Good news for motorists and consumers.
Yes. You and I.
All right, take it away.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining me on business. Importers and marketers of petroleum products have ruled out any sharp price hikes at the pumps should the new sulfur level regulations for imported fuel are implemented. At an engagement with some downstream sector players, Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Moses Asaga, told Joy Business the authority hopes to start with the new standard levels of between 500 and 10 parts per million from next year. This should mean that products on the market will somehow be a bit free of chemicals harmful to your vehicle engines and health.
I think that there shouldn't be chaos in the system, because if we try to run without caution, what is likely to happen is that there will even be more confusion at the filling stations. Two, it could even lead to shortages of products because of inconsistencies in the way we are going to manage the product. That's why I'm still putting it to the public. If you want 10 ppm, come and tell us how are we going to manage the national refinery which can produce 500 ppm.
So from next year, are we looking at the 500 to 10 as the range to work with?
Yes, the range to work with from next year will be the 500 to the 10 ppm.
Are you going to force it to the letter, some would say that?
Well, we will try to fine-tune things, but we are going to enforce it, yes.
Our Chief Executive Bulk Oil Distributors, Senor Hossi, is assuring petroleum consumers should not be worried when the new requirement takes off next year.
You see, the one interesting thing, the price benchmark that we use for diesel is 1,000 ppm. Our country standard is 3,000. We supply around 2,000. So you realize there's an arbitrage in there. Then you have, but that is not arbitrage that benefits BDCs get, but it's arbitrage that international traders will get. Then you take petrol. We price benchmark 10 ppm, not 1,000, 10 ppm, but we supply the market with about 1,000 because our national standard is 1,000. So who is really benefiting from all this? We are killing our people and we are making foreign traders richer.
The argument about maybe 30 pesos more on a liter when these things is not accurate.
You see, prices fluctuate, so it's very difficult. At a point, the difference in metric tons was $2. That will reflect in maybe a peso or two. You know, so it's not necessarily 30 today. Tomorrow it may be 30. It could be 20. At a point, it could even be cheaper than what we do now. If you look at the index that we use, you compare them. There are times that the healthier products are cheaper than the less healthier products. It all depends on the demand and supply situation.
Shouldn't be worried about any cost implications for the consumer.
I'm not too sure how much price you put on your life. And if you value that much, you won't trade it for even the 30 pesos that you are talking of.
Chief Executive of TOR, Kwame Iwadako, on his part, stressed with the current infrastructure, the industry is not ready for 10 ppm implementation. But oil marketing companies say the only little hitch will be clearing the old fuel stock within the period of the implementation of the new directive. Kwekwa Jumandria is coordinator for the Association of Oil Marketing Companies.
You know, the cost is very minimal. I mean, if you have it at the other end, especially TOR acquires the desulfurization plant, we are good to go. The BDCs are ready to go 10 ppm, which is very good. So once they get a product, even before then, before we started all this, they're getting levels which are far lower than what we are having now. So, I mean, it's a positive development, and we are ready to go.
Let's look at some rough numbers, not the actual numbers. Any estimations in terms of what additional cost might come with, even the calibration of your equipment, your storage, and all those things, when this thing actually should take off?
The main issue would have been the old stock giving way to the new stock. That's what it is. When you have the old stock, but we are going to work in harmony with the BDCs in such a way that at the time that we are changing, we'll have relatively low stock, which will minimize the cost involved. But if it comes at a time where we all say that, like 1st January, everything should be like this, whilst we are having about 500 ppm in our stock, that would be very difficult.
The Deputy Manager in charge of petroleum at the Environmental Protection Agency, Kojo Agbeno Efunam, says Ghana is prepared to handle the incidence of an oil spill offshore in its upstream petroleum sector. There are concerns a major oil spill could have devastating effects on marine life and coastal communities and could impact negatively on oil production. But speaking to Joy Business News, Kojo Efunam Agbeno said an oil spill response contingency plan monitoring group has been inaugurated and will be responsible to coordinate activities offshore should any massive oil spill occur.
We have 4 groups that we inaugurated. The Operations Working Group that will be looking at the National Oil Spill Contingency Plan itself and be doing audit of the national oil spill equipment that we have, and also to audit the oil companies' equipment and their contingency plans. The next one is the administration group that will see the legal aspects, the documentation, and if there is any spill, how people will need to submit claims, and they will put the claims together. Then the environment working group that will be looking at how best we can do the response so that we can protect the environment. And the final group is the chemicals working group. They will be looking at any chemical agents that will be used in fighting the oil spill.
So what are the very critical issues to our industry here by way of oil spill? What should be of critical importance to Ghana's industry?
The critical element is having contingency plan, having people know about the contingency plan, having them exercise regularly so that everybody knows the role that they can play, and then also continuous training.
So when it comes to a massive oil spill, for instance, in our waters, which are the major players that we initially have to contact, and then how prepared are we as a nation?
The major players, first the Environmental Protection Agency, we have Petroleum Commission, we have the Ghana Navy, Ghana Maritime Authority, and then the Ministry of Finance is also part of the steering group. Then we have Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. We have the customs, we have the immigration, we have the Ghana Police Service, we have fisheries. So you look at the government machinery, foreign affairs and regional integration, and then the AG's department, they are all part of the key players in this hospital.
An international executive coach with the Stanford Seed Institute for Innovation in Developing Economies, Constantine Salame, is prevailing on businesses in the country to review their risk factors, especially ahead of the December elections. Some businesses are reportedly either holding on to their investments or restricting their operations to specific areas due to the uncertainty surrounding the upcoming polls. He spoke with Joy Business at a financial management workshop organized by legal and management consultancy firm MRP. Kuku Aban reports.
Fully assessing the key business risks, Mr. Salome believes is very important in helping businesses forecast so that critical decisions could be taken to mitigate them. Some businesses are reportedly either holding on to their investments or restricting their operations to specific areas due to the uncertainty surrounding the upcoming polls. But speaking with Joy Business after a 2-day financial management workshop organized by legal and management consultancy firm MRB, an international executive coach with Stanford Seed Institute for Innovation in Developing Economies, Constantine Salome, said this highlights the need for businesses to re-evaluate their risks and draw up mitigation plans to tackle them.
Any business should have a repertoire of the risk, and a number of businesses don't even know. So you need to know what are the key risks that you are facing from a financial matter, operational matter, political matter that could impact your ability to grow your business profitably. This is the first step. The second step, you have to prioritize those risks. And the third step is you need to have a mitigation plan against each of the key risk areas. This will allow you to at least be prepared in case of anything can go wrong. In case of a devaluation, in case of any problem that you could have in shortages of utilities, you are better prepared. And any businesses, no matter what their size is, should have a risk repertoire and should have a mitigation plan.
Mr. Salame also wants businesses to be well prepared for the possible scenarios that may emerge.
And that's all in business for now. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again tomorrow for more business news updates. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. Good evening.
Nurses at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital have activated their strike, demanding a conducive atmosphere to cater for patients. Last week, the nurses threatened that if adequate medical supplies are not provided to the hospital, they will lay down their tools because they are exposed to constant danger from the patients. Call it occupational hazard, but the psychiatric nurses say they have had enough. Joy News' Maxwell Agbaba was at the hospital and now reports.
It is 8:30 Monday morning, but psychiatric nurses at Accra Psychiatric Hospital are yet to report for the day's activities. Under this shed right in front of the outpatient department, about 30 people made up of relatives and some mental patients are anxiously waiting for a doctor to prescribe their drugs.
And today is the time that I have to come for drugs and for resume duty notes from my doctor. Here is the case. I don't know what is going on. Here is a mess. So please, we need your intervention so that we can all get drugs, and aside the drugs too, we can interact with our doctors so that they psych us. Not the drug alone, psyching us alone is also another important thing.
But the combined anxieties of these patients and their relatives will not save the day. The nurses feel unsafe working in this environment, and after several threats, they have laid down their tools. Philemon Enin Anto is a member of the psychiatric nurses group. He says the unsafe working environment and lack of basic medical supplies constantly put their lives in danger.
We had a case somewhere last week, Wednesday, where a nurse who had undergone a previous CS, that is cesarean section, a patient had to kick the abdomen. So she realized she was bleeding at the site. Then there was a nurse who was also attacked by a new patient at the OPD. He dislocated his shoulder. It's unfortunate.
When was that?
That was last week, Thursday.
The strike has left many patients stranded. Richard Mensah Fanu brought a relative from Kaswa. He's worried because they're unable to access services at the OPD due to the strike.
I was here before 6 o'clock. I came from far away, Kaswa, even a site at Kaswa. I set home very early as 3:30, and I got here exactly 6, and it is almost 10 o'clock. I did not see a doctor or a nurse to attend. None of a patient here. Why? Why are we living in a country like this? And I even regretted that I'm a Ghanaian.
Director of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Pinaman Apau, says the hospital is doing everything possible to resolve the issue.
This morning, they are not here, but you still have some of the senior nurses on the wards. One of them, I mean, in every ward, you have at least one senior nurse there. And then we've been able to put some health assistants in the wards to look after the wards. But of course, you go through the wards and then you see that because they are not there, the work is deficient.
Well, the Health Ministry has assured management of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital that government has begun procurement processes to purchase the needed medication for mental health patients. This was made known after a delegation from the Health Ministry paid a visit to the hospital to assess the situation at the facility. Tony Goodman is the Public Relations Officer of the Health Ministry.
We were at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. If I say we, myself and the director in charge of procurement in the ministry, we went there to actually see for ourselves what the situation is today since they actually embarked on strike. And we also wanted to know their immediate need. Apart from the fact that we have the bigger picture, the bigger list to deal with, we want the immediate need, what we can also do within today, tomorrow for them to continue working there. That is what we went to do. Let me just put it this way. There are two issues that were put before the Ministry of Health. One is in the area of workers, and we've dealt with that this morning. The other is to get medication for the staff in there. We are actually dealing with that because before you even go to procure one psychiatric medicine, there are processes you need to go through, which we are currently doing. What for us in the ministry we want to say is that they should continue taking care of the people, even though the medication there are not enough. We said they should continue dealing with it. We have a private facility there. They should look at the private facility and get those who can procure some of the medication. They should buy and work on them. Because if I come to Accra Psychiatric Hospital and I can actually buy the medication and for you to take care of my staff and you are not there, it means that you are actually not serving the purpose for being there. So it's not also right for persons who are supposed to be taking care of patients themselves throwing their hands in this person.
They cannot guarantee their security, and that is a very key issue here. If you're dealing with mental patients and your security is not guaranteed because you lack the necessary medication that will make sure that it brings them under control, what do you expect them to do?
We share in their sentiments, I share in their frustration, because if you are taking care of patients and you have to be chased by the same patient, you must as well stop working.
Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry has agreed to release some undisclosed amount of money to address the concerns of the psychiatric hospital. This came to light after a meeting between the Health and Finance Ministries Monday. The Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Akwesi Osei, has also been speaking on the matter.
We continue to liaise with the ministry to see where some intervention can come from. So that's what we are doing. At the same time too, we are liaising with the management of the hospital to see what contingency arrangements can be put in place. Now, such contingency arrangement, for instance, one, they have had to stop the OPD because the nurses are not there. So the doctors, they will have to move to the ward stop the OPD, that's the outpatient department, go to the ward and attend to them. 2, they will have to discharge as many of the patients as they can. So currently there are 430 patients. They will need to discharge about 300 to 350 of them, so that the few who are left, the few nurses, well, not nurses, the few health assistants can attend to them. And they are also to try to recall the health assistants who are on leave, so that they will be able to assist. And then we will liaise with the ministry tomorrow, or the Director General of Health Service, to see how they can mobilize nurses from other hospitals, because this is a critical situation. We are trying to talk to the nurses, but it looks like we cannot get them back because they are adamant, because their point too is that their lives are at risk. So these are the measures that we are hoping that... It's been tough. I was in touch, or I've been in touch with the director of the hospital. It's been tough. The doctors, the prescribers are themselves also threatened, because they are saying they can't work without the nurses. And they also have a point. So again, we are trying to liaise with them to see how best we can contain the situation. But all said and done, I think that we should have some expedited resolution, because this situation can't continue for too long.
We're taking a break. International news is up next. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Alhaji Muniru Limuna, has threatened to write a serious letter against the Bono Ahafo Regional Minister and his deputy after he expressed disappointment over their absence at the 7th National Farmers Forum in Sunyani Monday. The forum is part of activities ahead of the 32nd National Farmers Day celebration at Kintampo in the Bono Ahafo region on Friday. It was expected that top-ranked government officials in the region will partake in what the Minister for Food and Agriculture described as important national event. But to his shock, none, including the regional minister, his deputy, the chief director, or the MCE, showed up for the program. Alhaji Muniru Limuna, who described their actions as a sign of lack of respect for agriculture, did not hide his anger in reporting their impunity to superior authorities.
Exhausted all the regions, and they were there to force us to see that they were prepared to host us, only to come and I'm sad that nobody's seen. And I don't walk about talking about people. I'll say it when I'm supposed to say it, and I'll follow it with an official letter protesting seriously. Because no minister, no deputy minister, and the chief director says he was so busy in the office, he cannot be here. Can you imagine this impunity? Africans are saying a bit more move. We have to all show respect. Those who are involved in agriculture. So now we're very grateful to you. That tells us the level of importance that you attach to these illustrious men and women who have gathered in here today. I will continue advocating and fighting those who think we are not important, for them to take this seriously.
The plight of the children who shared uniforms and sandals to school at Fomso in the Ashanti region made waves and evoked sympathy nationwide. People did not only express sympathy, but some individuals and corporate institutions swiftly offered to help. Within months of breaking the story on Ishra FM, Adom FM and Joy News, life has changed for the better for the widow and her children. Besides cash donation, which has ended the woman's self-exile into the bush to avoid creditors, the family now has a metal container for family business. Kwesi Deborah reports.
14-year-old Faustina Bedu was frustrated by the routine life of sharing a tattered school uniform and a worn-out pair of sandals with her sister. Their male siblings went through similar experience. Their father's death had left them in abject poverty. Their mother, who had borrowed money to take care of their sick husband until his death, had creditors knock at her door every now and then demanding payment. She had to seek refuge in the bush. She would leave at dawn and return deep in the night daily. It was too much for Faustina, so she took the family's plight to the public through Ishra FM's Obra co-host Na Mele. Last Friday, NAD led delegation to present a metal container stocked with assorted goods to the family. Donor organization Rent Air program coordinator Theophil Ozinga sums it all up.
Story on Nature FM about Madam Florence and her plight. In fact, we are quite touched with the fact that she had to sleep in the bush, the fact that her children had to share school uniforms. So we came forward. On the Ground is the project that seeks to touch a community in Ghana monthly, and we try to help in a sustainable way that can at least change the livelihood of the people to some great extent. So for the month of September, we carried Madam Florence Nimako as our project.
Madame Dorcas is thankful to Insure FM's Obred team for giving the family a platform to tell their story.
When the was too kind, I'm saying too kind. And no crepa said, dear, my house, dear. Nami so far, the kind of buy, no. Me find I could get my house, I may bem.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Up next is entertainment news. Don't go away.
Hello, welcome to the Sports on Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith, and today we begin with the read-over of what's happening in Ghanaian players, in terms of Ghanaian players abroad. Now, first of all, you may have heard the news that Richmond Boakye Adam had and suffered a horrible head injury during a game in the Serie B, that's Italy's second tier, on Saturday, and he will be discharged from the Citadel Hospital by Wednesday. That is what we can exclusively reveal. Now, the talented striker who plays for Latina collapsed on the pitch after suffering a serious head injury following an aerial tussle with a Citadella player that was in the 17th minute. The 23-year-old was carried off the pitch by an ambulance and he was quickly rushed to a local hospital for treatment. And Richmond is now in stable condition 48 hours after sustaining the head injury. Hope he recovers quickly. In women's football, Ghana's Black Princesses are expected in Australia by Wednesday, November the 2nd, for a training tour. Now, this forms part of the final preps ahead of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, which will be coming up in Papua New Guinea, not far from Australia. Here's Joy Sports, Baba Tando with more.
The Princesses, prior to this yet-to-happen training tour, had been camping at the Cape Coast Stadium and the Ghanaman Soccer Centre of Excellence, fine-tuning their preparations. Under the tutelage of former Black Maidens coach Masoud Dramani, the Princesses, en route to qualifying for a spot at the Papua New Guinea competition, beat Ethiopia over a 4-0 aggregate in the playoffs. Their training tour of Australia had to be held back because funds had not been made available to them. Thankfully, the Sports Ministry released some money to the management committee of the team last Friday, and as a result, the Princesses will leave Accra later tonight for their 7-day training tour of Australia before they go to Papua New Guinea to face the rest of the world at the Under-20 Women's World Cup from November 13 to December 3. For Coach Masoud Dramani, the tour will play a vital role in his team's outputs at the World Cup.
I think that we are all set and just waiting for the time to fine-tune. The fine-tuning is maybe having the opportunity to play some, profile games, either medium or high, and then also having the opportunity to play on very refined, pitches, and then for the fact that once you move from this local or domestic preparation and you're moving into the advanced preparation, psychologically the player knows that something is ahead, and so her attitude and her demeanor and everything changes. And for me, that is why it is important to face your preparatory, levels, domestic and then to the foreign one. And so the foreign one will give us the opportunity to have the idea of, psychologically being prepared for a tournament.
Although the Black Princesses will be featuring in their 4th consecutive FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, they will be waiting for their first ever quarter-final appearance. According to team captain Rashida Abdul Rahman, they are poised to meet their target of going beyond the group stage of the competition.
Yes, because we have a lot of experience during the
the other competition. And now that we have others from the U17, in addition to those who are still qualified to play for the 20, by His grace we are able to do it. We'll be able to do it because now we have a lot of experience, unlike the first time. It's unlike the first time because we didn't know what it was. But now, no pressure, though it comes and then it goes, but we are able to handle it.
Ghana will get their campaign underway with their first group game against New Zealand on November 14. Their second group game will be against France on November 17, and they face familiar foes, the United States of America, on November 21 when they wrap up their group phase.
Once again, it's the United States Ghana will face. Good luck to the ladies. From women's football to weightlifting, and Team Ghana has returned to the country after excelling in the just ended Commonwealth Weightlifting Championship in Malaysia. And we have a report. It's by Joy Sports Efua Santua Ofosu.
The national weightlifting team arrived in Ghana on Monday afternoon after winning 4 medals at the just-ended Commonwealth Championship in Malaysia. UK-based Ghanaian weightlifter Forrester Christopher Osei won a gold medal in the 94 kg category. Christian Amwa grabbed a gold medal in the youth event, while Richmond Osafo won silver in a bronze medal. For Ghana at the Commonwealth Weightlifting Championship. President of the Ghana Weightlifting Federation, Ben Nunu Mensah, who took the team to Malaysia, praised the Black Cranes for their achievement despite lack of support from the sports ministry.
When it comes to the national team, it is a duty of government. I don't think that it will be fair that you tell maybe President Kwesi Nyantakyi that he should buy a ticket for Abedi Pele, Dede Ayew, and then Asamoah Gyan. So why do you think that the practice of the presidents of the least finance sports for the past 4 years, we have to buy tickets for the national teams? I mean, the team that won, I had to get my company money to buy tickets for the athletes, you know. So I think that when it comes to, it has to do with the national team, it's very clear that that is a responsibility of government. And fine, if other companies come on board to help, it's only helping, but the first responsibility lies with government. We had initially taken the budget to government like we always do. But you see, for the past 4 years, it's been the same story. We've never gone out for competitions and we had funding from government.
The Black Cranes will compete at the upcoming African Weightlifting Championship in Egypt later this year.
It will be in Egypt, and from us here in Accra, that's the sport. There will be Joy News Interactive in a moment. I'm Gary Alspet. To see you soon.
Miss G, always a pleasure to be with you. But that's how we end the show. I'm Arba Kumson from all the team here. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Next, we're back tomorrow. So.
This is Joy News Prime.